All right, welcome back to episode 20 of Drawing Blood, your inside look to our video game hashtag Blood, and very much the spirit of Zelda, cartoons from the 90s, from Cartoon Network, and a bunch of other vampire lore and all that good stuff. I'm your host, Chris Burns. Bob's not with us today. He has some family business to attend, so you guys are going to have to talk to me. I know, it's going to be a chore. But I want questions. I can give answers. All that good news. So, and it's also Friday, so tall boy time. And since White Claw never responded to me asking for a sponsorship, we're gonna go straight for Bud Light. Oh, episode 19. Cody with 0 viewers. We could be doing this on GChat. I thought it was 20. It's labeled 20. But Cody, how's the audio on this? By the way, is the music too loud? Sounds good. Cool. All right. So we blasted on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook today that we're going to start doing more sprites. Happy 20th episode. So who is the Blood Girl as a character? Oh, good. I have people to ask you. Her name is Becky Brewster, and she is a middle school or high school student. I think probably closer to middle school, who is a good athlete, decent student, girl growing up in tough households with just a single parent, and she fights vampires. And when I say tough household, I mean just because it's a single parent. Her dad's actually quite nice. And she lives in this town that's going to be taken over by vampires, and we kind of follow her story. She's the protagonist of our game, hashtag Blood. So I talked on Twitter today about how we're kind of setting up sprites, because what we're trying to do is immerse the gamer in this sense, that they're playing an actual cartoon. So we were noticing when people were talking in the game that we'd have these big talkies coming over, but the kind of the sprite itself was staying neutral. So we're gonna kind of try to fill it out with a lot more animation as opposed to what was in the demo. So when you run over and click and say talk to one of the characters, we're gonna have Becky start talking as a small version and a large version. So I started that this morning, and I'm going to show you how to sort of maximize your layering and all that kind of stuff if you're working in Flash or Adobe Animate. Oh, thank you. Cody corrected me saying there might be only 19 episodes, but I'm going to say it's 20. It's a nice round number, and it's reason to celebrate. So I got my Bud Light right here. And it's Friday, and I own the studio, so who's gonna question me? So right now, we got Becky in 3/4. It's a top-down game. We have 8 angles technically, really 5 because we mirror either side. So like the profile on one side will be the same on the other. So we're gonna have to kind of figure out how we're gonna have people talk. Like if you approach someone from the top, you'll be facing down, and vice versa all over. I kind of think we can get away with 3, a profile, 3/4, and 3/4 back. It's just sort of animation works that way anyway, especially when you see, if you watch something like The Simpsons, you will see Homer talking to Marge, and they're both 3/4. So I think 3/4 always is a good place to start with this. So right now, I got her just chatting away here. I work at quadruple the size, so what we're going to see on the screen is actually closer to this 25% mark right here. And you can see it's sort of the same animation here. Well, it's the exact same. This is the neutral one, which means, it's tonally deaf. So this is sort of just kind of information that'll get passed along in the game. I'm going to do a happy mouth on this one, which will get her a different emotion. Then I'll probably do angry and scared too, because she is kind of confronted by a lot of vampires, so we're going to need a scared one, but she's kind of a tough girl too, so we'll need an angry one. But right now I'm going to show you how I would approach the happy face. Now if you see, if I go into the neutral here, what I did is separated the torso, the eyes and the head, the shine of the eyes, just because that's kind of a pain to draw over. So I got that, and then the mouth on top. Now you'll be surprised what you can get away with just one element changing. So I'm going to start with making a happier mouth here. And let's see if we can make it work. Now if I don't exactly like it, I could always erase the eyes and kind of play with the eye shape too if we want to make it even a happier face. But for now, with it being so small, I think we're going to just sort of try to approach this from a pragmatic level. Just try to change one element. And I think then Cody and Andrew can, our programmers, divvy it up into sprites a little easier and make it a little more efficient in terms of memory. So we're going to start with a happy mouth here. And since we don't have to lip sync anything in this yet, and you can see right now she already, that already gives the illusion that she's much happier than the downward mouth. So we don't have to lip sync anything, but I kind of keep the mouth always moving. So what I'll do is just sort of cherry pick some keyframes here and just start having at it with open mouths. Now I kind of simplify the mouth a lot. Like a sad mouth would go that way. A happy mouth is sort of the opposite, so we just kind of change the contours. So I'm gonna, since I did the neutral mouth as almost the sad mouth, we're gonna make sure we kind of keep it in that vein. All right, we got some, let's see. Oh, how you doing? I'm sorry, I got a Daniel Ardumasa. Did I butcher that? I imagine. Oh, and Jawaz is here. Good. I'm always happy to see people return to this. I always worry it might be a little boring. But I'm glad to see everyone keeps joining us and continuing the conversation. We really do get a kick out of doing this for you guys live. And you always get to see the mistakes I make and all that stuff. And this is probably truer to animation than anything. I know a lot of people edit their videos to make it look like they're flawless, but that's not us. So that's actually the thickness I want for this mouth. Messed up that. You said it better last week. I'm sure I did. I'm one beer deep, so if this went on a little longer, I'd be in trouble. Alright, so let's start with making some happy mouths here. So I might have to rough some of these out. Let's see, something like that. Can go pretty big. A happy big mouth would be fun. I'm low-key learning 2D animation from these. Oh, well, if you have any questions, Lauren Artist, and it doesn't have to pertain to blood. If it just pertains to animation, I'd be happy to give you any advice that you think I could hand over to you. So, at the end of these Twitches, I can open up a new file. I could show you something we might have done with the questions and all that. Or I could just open up a new file and do it from scratch. I know you guys don't care that much about being on mono, but do you have some kind of design process? It's a kind of a weird... No, we don't care about model at all. I care about proportions and volume the most. It could look a little weird if she got super skinny or super kind of bloated. But I kind of keep the skull big, and then I try to make the face look funny or cute or whatever emotion I'm going for. And if it feels like funny or cute or whatever we're going for, then I say let's just go with that. And when you work this small too, you'll notice that her eyes can change a lot, and it still feels like the character. So no, I don't really adhere to any sort of model process other than, and it's super kind of cliche, but it's like if it looks good, I'm okay to just move on. And it's kind of suited our studio pretty well because we just kind of work super fast. You have to when you're this small to kind of compete. And you know, it's you can draw anything is the fun part. So, you know, why give yourself all these rules that no one else needs to follow? Now I know if we're handing stuff off to like say we send this overseas or something, then we'd need a serious model sheet because you don't want people taking liberties that you might not take. But since it's such a small team, we're okay with kind of going off model a lot. All right. So this is sort of how I just do like these kind of random lip syncs. I just look at the negative space of the head. I see what mouth looks good. Now, you know, the jaw has to open and close and stuff, so, you know, I'll always kind of alternate. But sometimes I can move the mouth over here and it looks fine. And then, you know, then I just follow the chart. And she could even kind of open her mouth a different shape all of a sudden and it still feel right. And I try to keep the try not to repeat a lot of mouths either, just so it looks like it's a true kind of we're doing this at 2 seconds, so it's 48 frames. So it's a true 2-second cycle without it feeling repetitive. Let's see, I'll probably do an O mouth here. Stretch out the tongue. And then, of course, we're going to have to get back to that. So I might do that a little earlier. Okay, so I'll look at this at 25% or 50. Look at it outside here comparatively. So at 25%, you know, it looks a little different. I mean, I'm okay with it for now. When we do the angry face and the scared face, we're gonna have to change that up a lot, and I might even change the shape of her altogether. You know, when she gets angry, we can really make the head bigger. I feel like too, because I'll show you the other sprite sheet and how much she changes actually. So then I just kind of rough in between all these. I'll usually favor a side and always be aware that I don't want to kind of have a tangent with the eyes or the bottom of the jaw. And it's sort of just kind of feeling your way out. I'll always try to favor the open mouth too. I don't like that in between directly because it just feels a little digital to me. Even though this is a digital medium, obviously. All right. So what I'll do with this is once it's finished, we'll send this off to Andrew or Cody, and they'll get it into the game somehow, which is still a mystery to me. I still want to do a twitch of what they actually had to go through, and I think it would help me set it up a little better too. But Cody can contest to that, I'm sure. Cody and I have been working together on projects for the better part of 16 or 18 years now, something crazy, because we used to be, well, we were roommates for a while, but even before we were roommates in the SVA dorms, we were friends, and the rooms were 8 by 10, super tiny. Can't believe we're paying that much. Do you guys animate your graphics while you're doing the coding? I don't. Cody, can you answer that? Do you guys do kind of template stuff? I haven't seen anything in the demo that suggests that, but we have worked on games where I've seen people do that. So Cody and I were at the SVA dorms, and it was this rundown building in Manhattan. Kind of like a Section 8 building almost for a while. And I don't know why we chose to do it, but we put all the stuff we owned in one room and worked in another. So we kind of have this little assembly system. He was always interactive and I was always animation. So we would kind of help each other out and that kind of stuff. And he helped me with my second year film, kind of scanning everything in and coloring it while I was working on animating for his interactive stuff. Sometimes most of the time we get animations before. Yeah, it seems like a natural thing to do, I guess. You would put a template in to see if it works or not. I don't have the actual animations, we'll just use other animations. Okay, that makes sense. We're working, or Cody's working on, Cody and Andrew are working on the demo because we're gonna showcase this a couple times next month. One at Too Many Games, Indie Game Festival, and one at a festival that Exit 73 sponsors, called Animation Anarchy. And if you guys are in the city, it's a free event. It's a very cool festival. It's all sort of SVA driven. It's run by our close friend to the studio, Matt Lee. And it's always some cool animation. We all get drinks at the end. It's a real low-key kind of fun festival where it's not one of those stuffy festivals that we wouldn't sponsor something like that, actually, because we're not very festival-y people in terms of like those heavy-handed films. We kind of like the fun stuff. And that's where we showed our film Flex Caliber last year. Alright, so let me just get these teeth in. You can see I work with a real chunky brush. When we clean up the cutaway scenes, I changed the brush size altogether though, because it's way too cumbersome at that point. I'm going to favor the O mouth here. And the music is from our web series, Voltron. Do you ever, do you ever use animation charts, those lines with text? No, I never really use those. It's because Bob and I are the sole animators on it, so charts are more for like if you're gonna pass it on to a cleanup artist. And Flash, you kind of can arrange the keyframes to change the chart constantly, so we always do that. Oh, Hub Gaming 12 is now hosting you. Someone's going to have to tell me what that means, but I assume that's flattering. So thanks, Hub Gaming. Other games I've done. So animation it's hard to get a sense of how it works without seeing the animation. Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not against charts at all. In fact, when you work with a team, you're going to have to definitely rely on charts a lot. When it's a smaller kind of studio like ours, which is pretty much as small as you can get, you'll recognize that you don't really need them as much if you're responsible for it. Now, if I were to pass this to Bob and say, could you finish this? Him and I worked together and have great rapport, so we don't, he could always turn around and ask me a question. I mean, if I could show, that's a seat over there. So we never really have a problem with communication. But I've worked at studios, a lot bigger studios, where I was in charge of the interns who were sort of the animation assistants. All right, so I like that. And I would have to chart the hell out of stuff just so they know what I was thinking about. And we were working on such crazy, like when I was working on Super Jail Season 1, it was insane. So I needed to chart it out, else I would have never thought. All right, let's keep going here. I'm just gonna save. All right, that doesn't need it, that doesn't need it. I'm just checking to make sure the colors are right. Oh, yeah, Les Super Jail. That was a fun show. I learned a lot on that show. I was only season 1. I was actually credited with writing some of them because it was a fun writing. There was no dialogue in season 1 to speak of, so all it was a 10 of us or 8 of us or something that would sit there and we just come up with an episode idea per day. So we had 10 days to sort of write the first season. And it was just like, anyone who knows Super Jail, it's a super violent kind of, not a tongue, that's supposed to be a tongue. So we were just kind of come up with creative ways to get into an elaborate fight at the end. It was fun. How many people worked in the studio right now? It's just Bob and myself at the animation part of it, but we have 5 people on the game. Greg is our writer, Greg Lane. Andrew Tavis is one of the programmers, Cody Greenhouse, and Bob Fox and myself do the animation. But in terms of Exit 73 as an animation studio, it's just Bob and myself. So we're busy trying to get everything done. I figure you need the bare minimum of 4 people to run an animation studio, so Bob and I had to kind of do 2 jobs at once at all times. My keyboard's not working great, so I might start and reboot this Flash after I color this to see if that works. Could get a lot more done. Let me color this. Me and my friend run in a little animation studio. Oh, cool. Just 2 of you as well? What's the animation studio called? We mostly do freelance. We live in a small town. It's hard to find. Oh, gee. Ditto. We had our careers in New York City, and then we moved way out east to New York. Brick Nerd Studios. That's a great name. No, it is hard to find. We get a lot of emails asking for internship opportunities and all that stuff, and we've had interns before. We find the commute pretty grueling for most people, so it's hard to kind of get talent in here. And, we work in a very specific way, so asking an intern to learn how we're doing it too feels a little too much for interns. But we've worked with freelancers before too. Okay, so we got 2 talks already, and that was pretty quick. I set this up an hour before I started the Twitch too, so already we have 2 sprites that can be used in the game, and they both have a pretty different feel for it. So I'm just gonna, let me make sure. I'm just gonna save and close this for a second. Use my trusty old Flash MX. Everyone still there? Let me open up Becky Talk. Let me see. Okay, now my keyboard's working. All right, so we're gonna move on to an angry 1/3. Angry. So what I do when I start a new sprite is I copy one, I drag it over, and then I duplicate the symbol. And I do this for a few reasons. One, so I have the animation in there, so I know the size I need to do. And 2, it'll register perfectly when Cody gets the next sprite, so he won't have to move it around, hopefully. And it's the idea of that you can swap a symbol too. So I could swap these 2 symbols and they would stay registered. Gotta go for a beer. Hey! Get me one. Much for again. Okay, cool. I got drinkers with me. And only if you're over 21. And I had to say that for legal reasons. Alright, so I'm going to duplicate the symbol. I tried to get Cody to drink with us, and he said he had to work tonight. Angry. So I duplicated the symbol. Called it angry. I'm going to make this 48 frames too. I'm going to use this as the neutral one. And I think we can change her positioning a little bit, or at least her size. So let's rough some stuff out, see what works, see what doesn't. So when she needs to, we give her dark eyebrows. Let me get the pressure sensitivity on here. Let's see. We can change the eyes a lot. Give her something. I could extend the head a lot. I could do even like a cartoony mouth like that. You could have spit flying out too if she's angry. I'll probably always keep the robe on though, or the her cloak here, just because we don't want to get it'll get pretty muddy if we start doing the body, especially if like she turns angry in the middle of a sentence. Twitching. This is. Oh, is Chet on this thing? Chet, are you on this? I got a friend from he was an old Super Jail buddy. He works at Bleacher Report now. Text me if you're on this. LOL twitching. This is. I hope you're drinking with me, though. If you're at Bleacher Report, then sneak off. I'm sorry, I missed a few questions here. So, what's Becky and Corey's relationship? They're just close friends. They're, Corey's kind of a loner. Becky's a little more popular, but she gets along with them. She's not a mean-spirited kind of girl at all. And it'll probably play out that Corey ends up having a little crush on her, but in the same way of like 16 Candles, like Ducky never really gets her or any of that. This is the first game I animated on, and we own the game. I've worked on other games. This is for Sprint 100. We worked on other games, but this is our first one trying to finish a game and making it completely as our idea. And we do animated trailers for other games. Hold on, I have to text Chet. I hope he's watching this. The pressure's on. Chet's one of my favorite animators. Watching, I don't have an account, first timer. Oh, okay. He is watching. All right. Thanks, Chet. Yeah, Chet and I worked. Anyone who doesn't know Chet Nebel and is interested in animation, you have to look him up. He's talented beyond his years, even though he's a little older now. But when he first came to work at the studio, Augenblick Studios, he just was so incredible. I remember it was Super Jail that we found out how great he was, because we were kind of giving him work when we were working on this movie called The 10, that we weren't sure what talent level any of the interns were at, so we kind of gave him these base kind of tests, and it wasn't until Super Jail that we handed him something because we were crunch time. That was the pilot. That it completely blew us away. We were like, oh my god, we could have been using this guy so much. And I think soon after that, the head of the studio finally started to hire him. Oh, even Cody's in on it. What are you working in? Chet, I work in MX. So, that's what we do here. No, and anyone who, check out Chet Nebel's work. And he's one of the great animators over at Bleacher Report now. But he's one of those unsung heroes that I feel like he gets no credit. Alright, so we're gonna make her angry here. And with this, we're gonna keep the mouth kind of on the side here. So we just had to do a few of these sort of and make it look choppy. Yeah, I use MX Chat for any of my passion projects anyway. I could just draw quick in it. We'll work on the spit later. So you can see from that to that's a pretty hefty change. But again, we don't really, it doesn't bother me that the head changes this much. So I'm going to clean this up. Then I'll do a few of these poses. 400. Yeah. What are you working on now, Chet? I'm glad to see Chet's doing this. Am I live in Bleacher Report, or are you working from home? This could affect my relationship with them. I'm actually starting work with them again on Monday for a brand project. All right. So I really go deep with the eyebrows here because you'll notice that in her neutral pole she has none. But they are such a good indicator, especially when you work this small. And it's great to emote with them. And when it's a sprite this small, I know the bottom of the jaw is supposed to be the moving part, but I kind of keep it like almost a puppet. So like her head will get really big and her jaw is almost the halfway point. Oh, stupid hedgehog. Yeah, also, I failed to mention that Chet's also part of a band. He was a semi-pro skater. He's in an incredible band. He's a talented musician. It's sort of anything Chet can get his hands on that involves coordination, he's gonna just dominate at it. So his band, the Stupid Henchmen, Stupid Henchmen, and I might be getting this wrong, but that was sort of poking fun at the Mighty Mighty Bosstones when they were sort of doing their little nonsense. So check out his band too. I'm glad to see people are joining Twitch. You know, we have a pretty big audience on Facebook and a decent sized audience on Instagram and Twitter. But we started from scratch with Twitch, not knowing what we were doing. A lot of people can argue that we still don't. And we slowly built it up, and I find it's a nice audience. You know, we work. And it's working on a video game, which seemed very appropriate for us. So let me color this. Chet, do you miss MX? I know when I work in Adobe Animate, I miss it. Alright, so we're just going to do a few poses here, and then we can in between them as such. So we'll do a closed mouth. And remember I said like the jaw is going to close and the rest of her body will fall. This is a weird thing because I'm like roughing out thinner than the actual cleanup. Did I miss any industry talk? We were talking to Chet, an animator, a fellow animator that I used to work with. Not so much industry stuff, but more about, it was mostly about Chet, who you should check out, Chet Nebel. Chet, you should, do you have anything that you could show here? That you could like just send a link to? Sorry, I'm getting another text. Okay. From Matt Lee. No real industry talk. We're just sort of talking about old jobs with a good friend of mine, Chet. Share with the class. I feel like Chet's so humble that he doesn't give himself enough credit. So when I turn her head down, her buns in the back will kind of move forward, so it gives a little more three-dimension kind of stuff. And I'll probably lower this, squeeze that a little bit. So we'll do that. Clean that one up. And then I'll just try and make 4 or 5 of these and sort of start in betweening them and just make sure it's a 48 frame cycle. I'm going to change this to red just so I can clean up proper. Oh man, I live under the radar. Oh, Chet. Jet, you should seriously join us though. June 6th or 7th, whatever that Friday is, because we're gonna be showcasing Blood. We'll be in the city. It'll be nice to catch up and grab a drink with you. Plus, we sort of got a surprise little film in the festival, kind of honoring an old friend. So it'll be a fun ceremony. And that goes for anyone here that's in New York or willing to travel to New York. All right. I'll be there. This is us. Yeah, I was worried to start drawing in front of people. Like, it's sort of like, drawing's a weird, intimate thing, you know? Like, I feel very vulnerable, but I did it, we started it because I knew we should do it when I felt scared about it. I was like, well, that's a good motivator, fear. And you get used to it. And it's, you know, I mess up just, you know, I do twitches and mess up the whole thing and have to start over. But, you know, I feel like that's just part of being an animator. Plus, I want to show everyone the honest process of animation. So we got that. We'll work on Spit later. So what I'll do here is, because she's really chomping at the bit, is I'll do an extreme of both of them. So it'll like when you're screaming a lot like this, and this is just cartoony style, there'll be a lot of pops and locks. Oh yeah, no, I always, you know, I feel like it was a hard lesson to learn. I'm talking to Lauren Artist, LA Artist. We were so kind of worried to do something we were afraid to, like, we wouldn't finish on time. We used to just take projects. It's like, oh, you know, we can't do that in 2 weeks. How are we going to do this? You know, and we kind of had a turning point. You know, this is well into our 30s, where we just decided, you know, let's just say yes to it and we'll figure it out. And that's sort of been if we had a motto at the studio, it's that. Just take a job you're not comfortable with and just figure it out, and it's an instant learner, you know, you'll learn right away. And I don't know, if you fail, you fail. It's not going to be career ending, I don't think. And it's also your failure is a great lesson too, you know. It's you work hard on something and fail, it's not as bad as it sounds, because you learn something from that. So we've taken jobs where it's like the style wasn't our style. We've taken jobs where it had to look like anime, and I can't draw anime. And frankly, I don't know how anyone does. It's so incredibly detailed, and we've managed to do it. And and even taking a risk on making a film or your own cartoon or any of this stuff, it's an incredible risk when you think about it, when you put all the time that you have to do it. But just do it, because a film, making a film changes you too, in a good way. And it's a great way to learn animation. I feel like school sort of, I went to SVA, a lot of the friends I went to SVA, and I don't know, they sort of dropped the ball on, like, you were forced to make a film, but it was in your own style. I don't know if mind you, this was 2001, so it was a while ago, and things have changed, I think. But, you know, I didn't learn how to work with others and all that stuff, and that's all part of the process too. So do something you're scared of. You should do that once a week, something you're completely terrified of. Making a game scary. We're going to spend 3 years on this, and we don't know if we'll make a dime. But it's a silly reason not to do it. Okay, let's see. Stu, how do you export this stuff for Cody? I give it to Cody and say, here you go. Good luck. I don't. That's a Cody question. I think we used to do this thing. What was the sprite thing Cody called? What was this? Because Bob and I tried to mess around with Voltron a while ago. I think we still use that. It's called, gosh, what was it called? Probably have it on my desktop somewhere. But it's essentially a program that takes our Swift animation or the PNGs and makes it a sprite, so it'll name every kind of frame. Texture packer. God, how did I forget that? So you see she kind of chomping right here, so a little bit of... And this one it could be on 2s and 1s and stuff. So then I'll take this one and extend that. So we can make this really big. And whenever you're working on something like this, you have to always kind of keep in mind the emotion you're trying to get out of your characters. So where you can see the other head in the neutral post right here hardly moves at all. I mean, I bend it and twist it a little bit. So it's a more subtle thing where just look at the height difference right here. Already, this was her original one. And when your head is 2/3 of your body, think about how much taller she is there. But again, it's all just about volume. Oh, hey, 2D Brando 84. How's it going? Thanks for joining us. This is a good crowd today. It's Friday and it's nice out, so I think everyone's kind of ready for the weekend. Plus, it's a long weekend for some of us. Not Bob or myself, but I actually have to work this weekend on another video game intro. So, but that's almost done, and I can't wait to show you guys that. We're doing some really fun stuff with that. Super cartoony. And it's all an animated one shot. It's 37 seconds. Has 3 characters. Really fun colors. I mean, I kind of want to show you guys now, but I don't want to spoil it. So let's see. Let's get this one. So then I'll jumble up these frames later, and then we'll get a 48 frame cycle. On a Christmas short. Oh man, you're gonna jump on it. Who can you tell us who it's for, or is it for yourself? We get Christmas jobs around November or September. People are kind of always need stuff. I love watching these. I don't often get to see you guys live. Yeah, I don't know. Well, thanks for joining us. No NDA, sorry. Yeah, I got a few of those myself. I'm not sure if Friday at 2 is a good time. And, we're East Coast, so I know some people in LA are just getting to work. But I don't know if this is a good time. It feels good for us on the East Coast. So, but it's KS Tunes. It's paid work then. Can you explain? Can you tell us how long it is? Is it? You said a short. Does that mean 5 minutes, 7 minutes? Or can you not explain? Can you not tell us anything? We once had to do a Christmas short. Someone handed it to this industry. Someone gave it to us December 21st, and they needed it by Christmas Eve. Oh, that's good. I still have to get my kids to bed when I get home. That's always got 2 of them, and they're a handful now. 2 and 4. One just turned 4 yesterday. My eldest. No, that's always a very. I feel like I hardly talk to my wife anymore, like in a quiet house. So that's our time to we just look like we just ran a marathon or something after we get both kids down. Just look at each other and like, oh my god. Yeah, he's 4. He had a good time. Bob's kids came along. It was at my I live close to my mother and father-in-law, and my actual parents too. So we had it at their house, my mother and father-in-law, and it was they have a giant backyard, and he had a good time. That's all kids need is fresh air, I feel like. Alright, I'm going to color these, and then we're going to work on an O mouth and maybe a closed mouth. And we'll jumble these up, try to make this look right. I'm on the West Coast. It's a decent time. We just have to drop out every so often for meetings. Where do you work, Lauren? Like where on the West Coast? And is it a big studio? Is it freelance? Is it an animation? All right. I'm fascinated by the West Coast animation scene. It feels a lot different than the East Coast one. You guys hear that outside? All the rednecks are getting ready. Alright, so I'm going to make an O mouth. We'll extend the eyebrows up. Survival's VR game. Oh, so you're a video game studio. Oh, 200 people. Holy crap. Mostly working in VR. How would you describe East Coast animation scene? I think it's a little, this is for Chihuahua. I think it's a little more roguelike. We don't have the union here, at least to my knowledge, for animation. So there's a lot more people wearing, or a lot fewer people wearing a little more hats, I think. So, I know a lot of people who on the West Coast that are just like a character designer. Where here, I know a lot of people who have to double down as a character designer and in-betweener and all that kind of stuff. So I just think it's a little more kind of the Wild East, if you would. So, but that's my opinion from the cheap seats. I actually never worked on the West Coast, so. I just know it's a bigger scene per capita, I think, on the West Coast too. So I'll keep her eyes open. Let's see, so I'll give her an O mouth here. So I kind of have her eyes stretching up here. Get those eyebrows. But I know a lot of people who migrated to the West Coast for animation opportunities, and they seem to have a little more there. Though, again, this is a while ago. I feel a little out of touch with the whole scene. This year, for some reason, we kind of started just doing video game stuff. Oh, wait, a lot of stuff. A friend of mine works at Titmouse and was looking for a character design on Facebook just today. And she worked in New York City designer. What's the union? I'm sorry, something more people. Well, the animation union. I don't know if Titmouse is affiliated with that, but I know people at, say, like a Cartoon Network who work there, or Nickelodeon, or a really mega corporation. I think they are affiliated with the union, which comes with dues and stuff. I think, it helps you with health insurance. You probably get a 401k. All the stuff that a normal union would, like say, like it's just a labor union, pretty much. And again, this is, I might be completely misinformed, but no, Titmouse has. I was listening to an interview with Chris Pernowski, the creator of Titmouse, and his 400. Oh God, was it 480 employees? I don't know how someone. He seems so chill too. Like, I feel like if I had that many people to take care of, I would go crazy. Like, I would be so worried about everyone. What's your favorite cartoon at the moment? I find I watch such like little kind of crappy cartoons on YouTube because of my kids. They're just really into that nonsense. But I think my latest favorite one was the reboot of Samurai Jack. I always like that for the artistry. I love Gumball. I think Gumball is one of the best written shows. And I loved everything that sort of preceded Gumball and got up to it. There's that show Flapjack. I feel like it sort of opened up the gates to make all these weird cartoons for kids. You know, Adult Swim always did weird stuff, but yeah, Flapjack kind of was ahead of its time a little bit, almost to its fault, because I don't think people really responded to this kind of weird, obscure humor. And I feel like a lot of shows kind of mimicked Flapjack that showed a lot of success, so I always kind of like the predecessor kind of stuff. But Gumball, no, Gumball's great. And you know what I like about Gumball is that they don't just make stuff for kids, and I think that's the success of like Pixar too, where you know they'll just write a good story, and then kids will enjoy it and adults will enjoy it, and Gumball always seemed to do that. And you'll see there's always like 8 writers on Gumball, and I'm like, oh well, that makes sense. Yeah, so those are some of my favorites, though. You know, I could go on. I think my favorite cartoon, I don't know what I would say my favorite cartoon of all time is. I was very, when Liquid TV came out, I was at a very impressionable age. You know, I was still a teenager. So I think that's always going to be in my DNA, liking all those kind of weird, like Eon Flux, and there was a show called The Max, which was a comic book by Sam Keith, which I was always very influenced by Sam Keith's work. So I was really into that kind of stuff, that angsty teenage kind of stuff. And I find myself missing some of that. And I'm not a giant Adult Swim fan. It's a little too weird for me. Weird for weird's sake never worked for me. Though the first season of Aqua Teen Hunger Force was hilarious to me. Cody and I, we'd crack up on that. Yeah, Liquid Television. I wish they rebooted that. I wish Netflix would pick that up or something. I feel like that's all, you know, and you kind of see it in whatever that Love, Death, and Robots thing is. It's like, oh, they're gonna start doing stuff like this again. The Max, yeah. No, hey, Tokyo Megaplex. Hey, how's it going? The first episode is still the best. You'll find the back of my hand very displeasing. All right, let's go on to 2. Tall Boys. So when my wife asked me how many drinks I had, I could just say 2. Yeah, Aqua Teen was great. I don't, you know, it probably still is, but I just never caught up with it. And yeah, after kids and marriage and all that stuff, I find that I kind of just watch stuff to decompress now and not invest my kind of thought into. So I'll watch a lot, I'll watch Forged in Fire about sword forging and stuff just to kind of relax now. And it's hard because my wife's not necessarily into cartoons. My kids are at an age where they just like the young the real kind of crappy stuff I was talking about. So I don't get a lot of screen time to watch stuff that I would like to. But, you know, when the kids get older, I'm going to reinvest my time and start looking into all the cartoons I kind of missed. Because it's I've only seen a few episodes of Adventure Time, and I hear it's an amazing, amazing show. And I love the art and all that stuff, so I always wanted to check it out. Plus, it sounds like they sort of serialized that show, which is, you know, something I feel like no one does anymore for whatever reason. And I like that idea of telling a continuous story. I think we do a kind of a crappy job of giving kids credit of paying attention, and therefore they don't pay attention as much anymore because we're not letting them. Okay, so this one, I'm trying to think of another mouth I could do. No, but I remember watching Dragon Ball Z, and I mean, I was in high school then, but I remember liking that it was serialized and tuning in every week, every day for something new. And I don't know why we're pretending no one likes that. I guess Netflix sort of does that though, because you can watch it all at once. I just hope they kind of continue that trend with the cartoons. Alright, so we got the super angry babies. I also had to work on a word bubble so we know she's talking. Yeah, I'm doing dialogue faces. You can see here. So I got a bunch of stuff for Cody to start programming. So when you actually click, we have all these great talkies that we call them talkies. See if I can find it. Interface music, emotional character. Do I just have something? Talk text. So we have like these, you know, when you talk to someone, a thing will come up in the bottom right, and you can see what they're saying. So we have these kind of bigger versions of this. But we noticed that it looked a little weird. No, that's another Corey. When you clicked on it and that their animation kept going like as a sprite. Here's a good one. Yeah. So these are all kind of talkies. And you can see the line weight's a little different. You can also see this is a work in progress. So we're kind of doing it to the little versions too, at least for Becky at the time. And yeah, we really want to immerse the audience to make it feel like it's just a cartoon they're watching, but getting to play. So anytime there's a chance to add a little more animation, we're going to take it. All right. So I'm going to try to, I guess I need a closed mouth, like all the way. Then we could kind of mess with this timing a little bit. So let's see, let's get to that mouth again. We'll have the eyes closed on this one. So we'll really expand it here. Alright, so her bangs will go down and her buns will go up. What's some of your guys' favorite cartoons that you're watching now? Oh, hold on a minute. Oh my god, you're on Flash MX? Yeah. No, I do Flash MX. For any passion projects, I'll use Flash MX. We have every version of Flash, but Flash MX is the only one I'm comfortable with really drawing in. And I know most of the stuff that we do in Animate is all puppeting and all that kind of stuff. Is this all your style, or did you have something? Oh, my style, this is purely based on the 90s kind of Cartoon Network, like Dexter and Powerpuff Girls, and, you know, whatever sort of was the byproduct of UPA almost. Oh, Gendy's new cartoon looks fantastic. Yeah, the new DuckTales, you know, my kid was watching that the other day. That was really good, and I was not expecting to like the new DuckTales. Like, the writing was good, too. For a kid show, it's like, oh, this is pretty funny stuff. But it's well crafted. To say the least. I like it. I haven't seen that episode. Oh, thank you, Tokyo Megaplex. Now, I find we're kind of going away from, like with modern cartoons, we're going away from the cartoonier stuff. And I don't know what that is. I think people are a little more serious nowadays, almost. But, I don't know. You know, since we're making downtown Riverhead, everyone. Oh, did he voice Darkwing Duck? Jim Cummings? We worked with him on OKKO with the game we were making with Capybara. No, it's something about the new cartoons that everything's just so. There's just no passion in the drawing, maybe, or there is, but it's just the fun of it for me is gone. It's like, what's a fun drawing to make? You can literally draw anything you want. I don't know why we kind of just stick to these weird rules. When it's a cartoony show, don't get me wrong. Like Gendy's new cartoon, Primal, or whatever it's called, you know, you can't make like a goofy face in that, obviously, but everything else you can. Alright, so I'm going to jumble up these frames, see what we need to in between. Alright. And what I find in MX, when I use a thicker brush, I can draw a little more confident. Okay, so let's see here. Let me clean these up, then we're going to jumble these frames up and see what we can work with. Oh, it's a huge bummer that I think because it's the way cheaper to export. Oh yeah, no, that's definitely a factor. Like that, we had to send it over with model sheets. Tuca and Birdie is a very cartoony and still very grown up. You know, I never heard of that. Wander Over Yonder was great. That is great. Tuca and Birdie, I've never heard that one. What channel is that on? Tuca and Birdie. Never heard of that. It's weird to never heard. Alright. Oops. It's a Netflix show. Oh, I'll check that out tonight. I find it impossible to watch TV stuff now. I still enjoyed independent stuff. Viceland had a party legend show, which was fun. Different animators. Yeah, I like when people take risks like that. That's why I appreciated Love, Death, and Robots, even though I couldn't watch the whole thing just because I had very little free time. But I did like, you know, I'm a fan of the traditional stuff more. But I do like that, like ensemble things where you know a certain animator had a hand in it. Oh, really? BoJack Horseman. I hear that's a well-written show too. Plus, Will Arnett's voice, I love it. Like, I just love it from Arrested Development. Okay, let's see. So we're gonna jumble these frames up. So we'll probably start with a closed mouth. I'm gonna grab that one. I'll shoot up to this one. Do a little in between here. Get to that. Pop down to that one. Nope, wrong one. You see, there's no real science to it. So maybe. I'll shoot to that. Is that the same one? So it's a lot of overshoot settles here. And then we could just do a few others like that. So we'll keep it like that. I think that's all the frames. And I'll do that. Closed. So all those are like that. So let's do with that. So that we can make a lot quicker. And this is just an old chart, so I don't even need to keep this chart on top right here. Because, you know, if this was, let's say we made this a second and just doubled it. You know, that looks pretty angry to me, and we could probably just keep that. And if it feels a little too repetitive, I can just do up and down. Yeah, no, it does seem like a fun show. I wish I had more time to watch stuff though. I feel like um, almost life is slipping me by a little bit because I'm so focused on trying to run the studio and all that stuff too. So I have this fantasy of just kind of taking a month off and catching up on everything. So yeah, so I'll ease into that. Oh. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little better. Maybe I'll flip these again though. I'll make this 33. That's a second and a half. And then I'll do an ease out to that one. So I'll do an extreme of this one. And that's all I really do, honestly. There's no science to it. I'm just trying to experiment with this. Oh my god, I'm missing a lot here. I need to take a month off and update my demo. Yeah, our website is that we have so much stuff we need to put back on. That's why I don't have kids. So I can watch her. No, I thought having kids would make me watch more stuff. It didn't do that at all. I'm just chasing around my 2-year-old saying, "Dad, put that down. You're gonna break it." No, I find my. It's so early to tell, but I find my 2-year-old is super into like painting and drawing and like doing all that. I'm hoping, without pressuring him too much, that he takes some sort of passion in the arts, and I mean, it would be cool to run a studio with my family. That's years away, I guess, but had to retire somehow. So that'll go like that. See, does the ear go out? It'll go like that. So I'm just concentrating here. Then these go up like that. It's also the beauty of working this small is you could just do an extreme without even roughing out. I love animating small stuff like this. Like I always call it Tiny Town, which I think was coined at Aug & Blick when we were thinking about making a full episode of Super Jail where it would just be tiny characters, like you just see the whole jail, like and all the stuff happening, and we wanted to make it a one-shot. It was a really lofty idea that the network passed on. All right, that's fine. Okay, so I'm going to color this one. Then we're just going to work on in-betweening. Then we can do a scared version of this too. And if you guys have any questions, I always like to open it up. Hold on, I missed a lot again. That's why I don't have kids. You can make them in between when they hit 8. Oh, yeah. No, I can. I mean, trust me, I would love that. I thought you were talking about Flash 8 for a second, but I was like, no, when they get old enough, they'll be working at the studio. I can't be the only one paying the bills. Okay, so let's in between. This chart on top is useless. We don't need this. So this will be a giant ease out. So I'm going to need to rough these out. What are these? This is a big ass, but what do you guys do? Okay, working on a 5-second loop generation inspired part by you guys. Yeah, I'm going to click on this after the this for Lower Nards. If you want to email me that, because I'm not the tech here. Bob's the tech and he's away on business right now. If you want to email me that link, my email is chris@exit73studios.com. Send me that link and I'll gladly take a look at it and give you my opinion on it. For sure. These expressions look great. Thank you. Yeah, and feel free to ask any questions like that if anyone. I'm happy to help any inspiring animators. I welcome anyone into the fold that's willing to make the leap into this crazy industry. Oh, Chet, yeah, oh, good. And Lauren, that's from someone who's amazing. This guy, Stupid Henchman Chet, is a fantastic artist. So I'm excited to take a look at it. Actually, yeah. If Cody could send it to my G chat, I could take a look at it. I could look at it on my phone probably. But I'm afraid if I click on the stream thing, it's gonna. I've done that before and I lost everything. So, but yeah, feel free to send it to my email, or if you have any other questions, it's chris@exit73studios.com. So let's see here. Gonna make it extreme. Oh, you can see, Lauren? That's amazing. Okay, let's see if I can do this. I'm gonna click on this on my other screen. See if it works. Oh, wow. Oh, this is amazing. And this is for what? It's a 5-second loop for something, or? That's really nice. That's great time. Is some of this on 3s and 4s? I love when people can pull that off. I've never been able to do stuff on 4s and make it look nice. Oh yeah, this is great. It's beautiful. Is this for an idea you have? Or is it just for practice? Thanks, Cody. Yeah, that worked, actually. That's really nice. I like the secondary on the character on his arm. And I love when people take the time to animate camera moves. I think that's sort of the height of animation when people can do that. It's beautiful. You don't need any of my advice. I might have to ask you for some. All right, so those eyes are a little big. I've gotten your email before. Oh, I animate this on ones. I do it on 1s and 2s, so I'm only a little sick. I've been drilled in the head to do stuff on 1s from my previous job. Though this thing I'm working on now, I do a lot of 3s for the ease outs and stuff. I also find it's all dependent on the character design. Like Becky here is so easy, and she has really no extremities since it's only just this robe that I can get away with doing more stuff on 1s and 2s. Good enough. No, that's gorgeous. I love that. What program did he use for that, Lauren? If you don't mind. Flash. Well, Animate CC. All right. Wow, that's great. That's fantastic. How many people here use Flash for, like, say, a Toon Boom? I never used Toon Boom yet, but I hear it has its advantages, though it's expensive. I know Chet and I are Flash all the way. I use Animate CC. All about Flash. Yeah, okay, good. We're in good company, Cody. Though I have nothing against Toon Boom. I don't know enough about it. I think that's almost independent stuff. I feel like Flash is kind of the answer because it's so sort of. There's a lot of intuition in it. What is this Twitter? Okay, I got another one. I drew some. Blood fan art. Cody, get that on our Twitter. You want to retweet it for Daniel? Retweet that right away. TV seems like the one, but mostly I do 2D for animatics now. TV Paint. I've heard of that. I've never used that either, though. It's weird when I was coming up in the field, circa 2002. Flash was like a 4-letter word. People hated Flash. Hated it. They did not want people to use it. I mean, and like big studios too. Like, what is this, 33? I'm gonna change that to. Oh my God! Because we were using a lot of puppeting and stuff. Oh boy, people were against that. Oh, I'll see you. Oh, Chet, I have to talk to you too about Bleacher Report stuff. So I'll reach out to you. How do you know when to do straight in between for something more extreme and creative? Depends on usually it. Okay, cool. Cody's going to do that. A few factors for extremes and creative stuff and straight in betweens. It depends on the dialogue, whatever you're animating to. It depends what's happening. And it depends on the emotion. Now, in fact, right here, like, since she's kind of choppy on this one because she's screaming, I do a lot of like pops and settles. When I was doing these ones right here, I did a lot of ease and ease outs. Now, if I turn off everything other than the head, you'll see like it goes from here to here. Like those are the two extremes, and then I did a giant ease and ease out because I just wanted kind of a subtle kind of flowing movement here. I didn't want it to look too jarring. I wanted to look a little more subtle kind of stuff. So it really depends on what the action or what's happening with the character or with the animation in general. Pans, anything you want to do, like if the background's panning and the characters are in place, you want to do everything as even as you can. You could do the eye acting and all that stuff separate, but you want the arm to be ease in, ease out. You want the up and down, ease in, ease out, and all that stuff. Now, if you're doing a chase scene, you're going to chop it up a lot more. So it really just depends on what's happening in it. And I know that's sort of a boilerplate answer, but it really depends on the content that you're making. All right. I can't wait to see the tweet. I can't really click on this stuff until afterwards, but I'm excited to see. And thanks for making fan art. That's really awesome of you guys. I mean, the game's not even close to being finished, and knowing it already has people wanting to make art for it is really cool. And we appreciate that. I mean, one of the things I'm always is this. Okay, Cody can send this to me. Oh, wow. That's really cool. Daniel, oh my God, that's awesome. I love that style. I love what you did with the background too, and very cool colors. That's great. Thanks so much. You did this while you were watching too? Like you did that quick? Beautiful. Really great art. That's really cool. That's a very indie kind of style. Like I love that look with the line quality and everything. I like how you shaped out the blood too. Really nice stuff. That's also what I like about Twitch. I feel like we're finding a lot more like-minded artists here. Let me rough that out, and I think I can do the rest without. Okay. So the eyebrows, I always have like three kind of, when it's angry, I just do kind of three stalks like that. And it all tapers to the middle. And that doesn't have to be in between great. I find it kind of when it's a little rougher, it feels a little more organic anyway. Yeah, I'm posting. Oh, yeah, I'm good. And a drinker too. I like it. That's great. You did that quick. And I'm glad Cody could retweet all this while it's happening. I always need a resident tech. Otherwise, I'd just be talking into this microphone with no one on the other end. Yeah, tech and me don't really. Not that we don't get along. I've always been bad at it. I broke my cable box yesterday. Actually, I put my kid's bubbles down and it leaked into it. All right, let's see here. So, yeah, then we'll favor this side. So extend that. Make it one in between there. I need one more in between there. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, and honestly, thanks for making that. That's really cool. And anyone who else who ever makes fan art, just tag us in it, and we'll happily retweet it. Let's see here. So the eyes are going to start opening up. I'm going to keep the mouth closed, pretty close. Show the teeth. I've always had more fun doing these extreme kind of gestures too. Like I've always liked rough drawings where you can feel the energy of it. And I find myself like always kind of like when I'm doing an angry face, I always sort of I'm wearing an angry face too. And the same thing happens with smiley or sad faces too. Uh-oh, hold on. I left my phone in the car to pick up the kids and then stay for two. Well, hold on. My wife. She's having a good time with the kids. Makes me happy. And I had to answer Matt Lee too, but that's afterwards. So where was I here? Yeah, I always kind of, I guess that's an animator thing though. People kind of wear what they're kind of imagining in their head on their face. All right. Oh, the flex caliber? Yeah, make it. I mean, flex caliber hasn't been on our radar in a while, but yeah, we did a thing where we asked people who've seen flex caliber to make some fan art, and flex caliber is actually going into this film festival. If any of you are in New York, June 21st, called the Rooftop Film Festival, which is affiliated with the Brooklyn Arts and Music. I forget their festival too, and gosh, what's the other festival it's affiliated with? The really big one has to do with Brooklyn. But it's up for an award. We got nominated for an award, so I think voting starts in September. But apparently whoever saw it liked it and asked us to be part of it. So, all right. Yeah, we're hoping to pitch Flex eventually. Oh, you're gonna be there? Is anyone watching the stream living in the UK? Yeah, is anyone there? Because we have some news for people who could be in the UK. Oh, very cool. We're actually. I wish we could attend it, and but we're at June 21st. Actually, the whole Blood team is going to be at Too Many Games at that festival, promoting Blood. And if you come there, you can play it, and you might even see some of these animations in the game if Cody can work fast enough, or if I can animate fast enough. So come up to us there and say, "Oh, I saw you draw this," and I'm going to be there with my easel drawing 4 people too, on real paper. None of this digital stuff where I have undo. Alright, so let's see what that looks like. Yeah, this feels nice and kind of snappy. Yeah, I don't know, Cody. If we can announce that whenever we want, though, about the UK thing. I would like approval from the whole team, though. Yeah, because it's a fun little thing we got to be a part of, involving Blood. Okay, so there's this magazine. Everyone's cool with that? Andrew won't be upset. There's an awesome magazine that's founded in the UK called Edge Magazine, and they kind of feature a lot of independent indie games. And we were asked to do a spread for them, so we did this two-page spread. So if you get the magazine, you get to see this really big kind of poster we made. And I don't know, Cody, do you want to show the image here? If you want to send them an image of it. But if you are close to that magazine or know somewhere that you can pick up Edge, you should check it out. And again, we're so thankful for Edge reaching out to us and doing that. And it seems like a really cool, like this magazine in particular, because there's a new system coming out and all that stuff with it. And it seems to primarily feature indie games and a lot of cool artistry in it. So check out that magazine if you could get your hands on it. And I think there's an app for it too. But there's nothing like holding it in your hand. Cody, if you want to get that image up there, I don't know if, that's, everyone can check it out here, but it's this original Blood art for it. And it has a little interview with all of us. It was really cool. It was super flattering to even be, asked to do something like that. We're still in our infancy. I feel like we've been working on this for as one of I don't know if he was a fan or just mad at us, but one of the people who knew Blood we're screaming about how we spent over a year on this already. It just still feels young to us because we have so much more to go. But for just to get any audience interested in something that they haven't even played yet and seeing it unfold has been very rewarding for us. It's one of the more rewarding things, if not the most rewarding thing I've been a part of, and that includes opening the studio and having some shorts and festivals and all that stuff. And those of you scared to take the plunge about making a game or a short, all I can offer is the advice that start today. Just whenever this Twitch is done, or if you just hang up now and just start it, and starting is one of the hardest parts, second by finishing it, but that's all you really need is the drive to start it, I find. Because you'll look back in a year and you'll be like, why didn't I start it yesterday? Trust me. I'm trying to look at the hair here. I don't know what I did. Yeah, we're gonna post that post. I think when the magazine comes out in the States, we'll probably post that on Facebook. But I'm glad to give this audience a sneak peek at that. I mean, it's in the magazine now, but I don't think that magazine comes out to the States for a little bit. And those are featuring new backgrounds that are going to be in the game eventually. And all those new characters are going to be in the game too. So all that artwork, it will be represented in the game. I messed up the hair here. Just going to take out that chunk to get the hair right. Oh, someone had an accident outside. That hasn't happened in a while. That was really fun to be a part of that. At the hardest time in the middle of the project. Yeah, no, the middle's the hardest part too. I mean, there's 3 hard parts, and I'd say it really is the beginning, middle, and end. Not to sound cliche, but it's just hard staying motivated too. I get that. I get that a lot. See, this is why I should have roughed it out. Let me erase that now. No, the beginning's exciting, the end is exciting, and the middle is this part where you're just sort of treading water, and it feels like you're not going to finish it on time, or you just kind of lost your motivation to finish it. And, thanks to you guys and Twitch and all the positive feedback we have, it's keeping us motivated to keep doing this and make something that we know has a long, big battle ahead of it. I think that's about right. Yep, that's better. Just looking at I didn't want the hair to mess up, but the eyebrows kind of go over it. Yeah, I'm all about the beginning and then middle is first. Yeah, it really is. Actually, when I'm gonna retract my statement and say probably the end is the end I'm the most anxious, but it's probably the easiest part. You're just kind of buttoning up stuff, and you're excited to show it. And I've never met someone that close to the end that didn't finish stuff. But I figure making games is kind of you get scared when you start making it. You're scared in the middle. And I feel like I'm going to be the most scared when we release the game and seeing how people react to it. But, it's part of this journey we're going on, and we're going on it together, all of us as an audience and as staff members, is sort of like checks and balances. We're responding to what people like about it. We're constantly changing stuff that we don't think is working. And it's a little perplexing that more studios or gaming companies or anything, why they don't involve the audience that they're hoping to reach out to at the end. And that goes from look what happened with that Sonic movie. It's like no one showed anyone the design, and now they're stuck remaking it because it looks like whatever it looks like. And it's if you invited people early enough to the process, you could have saved whatever executive made that bad decision a lot of time. It's just a weird. You have a test audience with the internet at your disposal. Now, sometimes the internet can be toxic, of course, and I'm sure anything the Sonic people made, there would have been a lot of backlash. But there's also this part where you can actually gauge what's working and not, and I'm not sure why people don't take the advantages of that. Sort of strange. especially games when you're making, you take 7 years to make something. I mean, why take the gamble on something that you don't like? I'm just basing that number off anything. We're hopefully have the game done before 7 years. Good God, we better. All right, let's get that angry face. No, so especially when you're starting out, just start showing it off right away. I'm excited to show stuff off. Like, I want to get the intro done to show everyone, or the start screen intro. I want to show people this magazine art. I want to show people these Twitches. I'm excited to show, nothing that's going to give away the story, but just the artistry of it. I like showing off that. Okay, that's fun. See, we have about 25 minutes left, so I'm in the stage of my career where I feel inclined to blame the man powers the creatives, I say. Oh, I've been in battles with producers for so long in this industry. It hit its peak when I was making a pilot with Disney, though, when I just wasn't really agreeing with the direction they were taking our pilot in. And, I tried, I vowed never to get that angry at producers again. They make it pretty hard. No, I give creatives power. It's just, the idea that people aren't these complex things, like we reduce artists to just artists, we act like producers are the only ones who could write emails or make decisions or know an audience. It's like you take people for their face value, not just these artists that are just, they think we just sit around like dreaming about painting all day or something. It's like everyone's these complex humans that are trying to tell a story and live their life and do all these things, and they act like they're the only ones who can do anything other than the art. And it's like, give the artist the producer role. They know how, because the producers just end up asking you questions anyway that they already know the answer to. Oh, can it be done for cheaper? Can it be done faster? The answer is always no, and then they get mad at you. Is it worth the fight? It depends. If it's your own stuff, I think it's worth it. Like when I was making the pilot with Disney, I was in battles a lot. When it was someone else's idea and I didn't agree with it, I was just like, yeah, it's a paycheck. So, and I don't want a reputation of being hard to work with either. So, you really have to pick and choose your battles. And I realize they're just doing their job too. It's not, everyone sort of is a wheel in the cog. And, they have a boss that they have to please. When it was my pilot, though, I was very upset with how they were kind of, like, they just kept me out of, they just kept me out of the loop for certain things, which I would have never agreed with. And they, and it was all under the pretense that they were going to keep me in the loop, and they just kind of, and you could tell when they were doing it too, because they were West Coast and I was East Coast. And you could tell I was working all night and all day on it, so their trick didn't work. But, they would email me at 1:30 in the morning, and I was just sitting at my computer working on it, so I'd answer right back. You could tell they didn't want to start the fight. Very frustrating. It was the only time I got to do a pilot, too, and it's just something that kind of fell flat. But it's also kind of forced us to, like Bob and myself, to reevaluate and be like, if we want to make something, let's just make it. We don't need permission from bigger companies that aren't going to understand our vision. Now we're doing everything for free and it doesn't pay the bills, but, it's a lot more rewarding when you kind of have full control with the team you surround yourself with. I think some of these in-betweens I could probably grab from other things. Let me check it out. But no, don't. I wouldn't fight with everything. You really have to kind of tread on ice a little bit. So that one. Okay, so that one. Does that one? Could probably do that one. Let me see if that works. I might want to change the buttons a little bit. Okay, that works. So we just need a few more in-betweens in this. And that one could be that one. So I might favor either side on this one. As an artist, I'm constantly seeking creative fulfillment, which seems to be difficult to attain in professional work, especially at bigger studios. I agree. I felt a little lost at the bigger studios. At the biggest studio, I was never at a giant studio, to be honest. The biggest one probably housed around 50 people. I was lost on that too. And it was very early in my career. We were actually working on a Disney thing called Catbot, which never made it off the... It shouldn't have one pass script. But I felt pretty lost there, and then I was approached by a friend of mine, Aaron Augenblick, who runs Augenblick Studios. Hey, Joe Lindsay, thanks for joining us. Good to see you. And that was a real small studio. Augenblick Studios blossomed into a bigger studio now. But when I went there, I think there was 6 or 7 of us, and then I really felt like I was like, oh, this is sort of the feeling I've been chasing as an artist, which was a really tight-knit group of pretty rough around the edge kind of guys and gals, and I was a lot younger then, and they were like kind of hard drinking partiers, real kind of salt of the earth kind of people. And he kind of ran his studio in that way. It was just a lot of camaraderie. And, when we started Exit 73 Studios, I wanted the spirit of that to kind of follow through. We don't party at all anymore because we're too old, but like the idea of like this garage band, and the beauty about garage music or garage rock or whatever you call it is that it's not a perfect sound. It's this, you could feel the art in the music. It's like they don't have the best equipment, they don't have the best talent, but it all jives together. And that's sort of what I like about these smaller studios is, Bob and I aren't the best at anything. We're not the best animators, we're not the best musicians, we're not the best compositors, but somehow we band together and play off our strengths and weaknesses and make it work. And whether it's music or art, I feel like there's beauty to that. And something, if you're working at a Cartoon Network or a Nickelodeon, you don't get any of that. You could go unnoticed for days, I think. You could just hide, and you could hide on the lot and just, no one would know the difference. Yeah, I mean, small team is my favorite. And I like, what I like about small studio too is we'll take a job and just do it in 3 weeks, and then we're moving on to the next job, I mean, it's there's scary parts to it in terms of security, but it's also the part where, we're always kind of fighting for the next job and all that stuff. And that part, especially when the first of the month comes and we owe mortgage and all, life comes at you. But there's the part that you don't get at the big studios, which is that you're actually making something with your own art, not someone else's art. But we found a niche too. Like, this digital age has opened up the gates for us, where we're doing commercials for big clients, we're doing animations for small clients, and we kind of have this niche of just doing short form animation pretty quickly with people seem to think we have a decent quality for our stuff, and we've been, you know, going on 7 years as a studio now. And I could never go back to a big studio. If it didn't work out, I would find something else to do. Just can't do that again. See, let's color this and see if it... Alright, that doesn't look too repetitive, I don't think, right? Oh, wait, hold on, I'm missing a lot of stuff. That's one thing, you're not seeing the chat. Oh, do you not see us, Joe MC? Okay, good. It's encouraging and inspiring to see small studios like here. Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call what we're doing thriving, but what we're doing, but I do appreciate it. We're making, Bob and I are essentially freelancers, and for two people who've worked, you know, going on 20 years now, it's pretty easy to find work for two people. In other words, so we're in a position where now we take on jobs where it would pay for, say, 4 people, so then we get a little more money than what 2 people would make. But it's sort of our business model that Bob and I know we're going to have to do the job of 1.5 people, maybe more. So the hours are long. I was up till 12:30 last night working on a job that doesn't pay that well, stuff like that. But in the end, we kind of control our own finances. We control the content we're making. We manage to save up for savings. We have IRAs and all that stuff. We provide health insurance, and you know, Bob and I each have 2 kids and a mortgage, and we live on Long Island, which is probably the second most expensive place on the planet. At least it feels that way. So in terms that we're not rich by any means, probably pretty poor, but we have made it work. So that feels good, knowing that, you know, that our kids are secure, just, and all we do is draw. You know, that's a kind of a cool feeling. It's very cerebral. Like, I sit down and draw all day, and then somehow I get money for it, and then my kid can go to school and get health insurance. It's kind of weird, because there's a time in my career I didn't think that would ever happen. I just thought this was a hobby, an expensive one. And thanks for the subscribe, everyone. Just joined. What program are we using? All right, this is gonna age me, so brace yourself. It's Flash MX, which was, I think, made in '98 or something. But we have computers that can handle the operating system, and we kind of retrofit everything. And people ask me why I use that, and it's always sort of the same answer, is that I grew up on the with the program. I like the way it handles the line work, and I find I'm most expedient in Flash MX. And the question that usually follows is, do you work in Adobe Animate? And I do. For clients that need us to work in it, I do. Now let's add some spit to this, and I think we'll call it a day. Not a day, but we can work on the next thing. All right, so spit. I'm going to keep, so when she opens up, I'm going to rough this out. So spit I always do, I'll rough it out first. I kind of follow the line of her jaw here. So she's kind of opening it up, so I'll start the spit down here, say. Then she shoots it up, and we'll start arcing it like that. Add some more debris. Then you want to keep kind of the arc going on this. So this will start opening up like that. This will start rising up. All these. Oh, thanks for another subscribe, everyone. We had a good chat today. Or maybe it's the Bud Light. I don't know. Feels good. So let's see. We might have to spread this out so it's not in her line of action. but that's okay. We can keep this and just move it over. Actually, I could probably move that over and then in between it thusly. So that, and then everything starts, you know, it'll reach like anything that's thrown up in the air, it'll reach its arc and then start falling down. And then I slowly start dissipating stuff, so I'll move some of the dots over. And effects, I always kind of go straight ahead like this. So like that. Then I'll clean that up. I had to figure out what color I usually do for spit though. Let's see, what color should I use for her spit? Maybe something like that. Let's try this. See if it pops. And then, you know, when she opens her mouth again, I'll do a different spit. So this one will have a different one coming out, and then we can kind of make it work. I think this is a little slow though, so I'm going to speed this up. That feels a little better. What's in between that? Now what I could do with the spit is make it a symbol and then use it again. We don't do a ton of symbols in this, especially, let's do that. Especially we're trying to go as traditional as we can. But always use Flash to your advantage. And Flash is riddled with cheats that you can do. And as I showed in the earlier ones where I just kind of traced the robe a few times and then used it to my advantage, it looks as traditional as you can get. Okay, let's do that. And then it'll disappear. And then if she opens her mouth again, we can do another one. Let's see. She opens her mouth. Yeah, that one's not such an open mouth. So we're gonna, like, it's a little slower. And then I'm gonna grab this one. Keep everything on 2s. And that looks a little repetitive, so I'm gonna favor this side and just in between one more. And this is a done sprite. Let's see here. So we're going to come to a close in about 8 minutes. So if you guys have any questions or comments or little lessons I could do for you, doesn't have to be with blood. I encourage any animation lesson or any process question, and I'll hopefully field it for you guys, those trying to learn. So I'm favoring this side. That's an animation term for just picking one of the extremes and going towards it. And I favor the extreme on this one on the top, so it feels a lot harder when it closes, though it's the same timing. Okay. So the mouth is going to stay open. Tongue comes out a little. Jaw pops. Gonna go like that. Just gonna check out the timing of that. Yeah. And you see when I used that frame over there, it was just, it looked almost like a mistake to me because we're just kind of alternating the frames. And I want it to feel like we're kind of drawing everything at all times, like a new frame. So that's why I'm gonna take the time to kind of, and even though this is just a small animation, I feel like those little details kind of set everything apart in any film. You take the time to redraw it, or shimmer it, or boil the line. It's going to feel a little more alive, I think. And I think that's the draw to anything traditional, is that it feels like it was done by hand. Okay. Let's see here. And Cody, if you're still there, do you want to send everyone to bloodgame.com where we can kind of Uh, if anyone's interested in signing up to our mailing list, you get content that no one else sees involving blood. It's stuff we're gonna, no one else sees. You get an exclusive look first of it. It's not a mailing list we mail you every day and say remember blood or any of that stuff. We're not spam people. I think we only sent out one. In fact, only one message so far since we started it. It's just something when we get news like the Edge magazine, you'll get a first-hand look at stuff like that before we post it on Twitter or anything. And it's sort of for the uber fans of blood that are just interested in how we're coming along with the process. We're going to show new trailers there. I imagine, when we get our demo in order, we'll probably put something up like that for you guys to kind of check out. And all that good stuff. So that's always fun. And then there's, of course, the normal stuff like Facebook and Twitter and all that good news. That it's just Exit 73. And that's not just exclusively blood. You'll see the new game trailers we're working on. So you can see we got 3 emotions done in 2 hours. So that's not a bad day's work for Twitch, especially when Sir Bud Light was in the mix, which I'm going to continue after this. Bob actually brought Red Dead Redemption 2, so when this is off, I might try that. I haven't tried that yet. Here, it's a good game. And I'm glad chat's off, so the Bleacher Report people didn't hear that. Let's see. We got 4 minutes. Anyone need anything? This has been the animation. Thank you. Subscribe. Thank you, Chaos Tunes. Okay. Let's see. I can start. I'll rough out the scared animation, the scared talk here. So I'm gonna grab the neutral. Copy that. Scared or scarred? I'm not a good speller. Is that scarred or scared? It looks wrong to me. Oh, thanks for joining us, Windsor Dinser. We have 3 minutes, but I'm happy for you to join. Have you heard of Artella? I have not, Joe Whimsy. What's that? Tell us about it. Is it a cartoon or is it a festival? Scared. All right. So again, I'm going to just start using the neutral pose. So we're going to try to rough out a scared face here. So the typical cartoon logic is when you're scared, you kind of have smaller pupils because the act of your pupils dilating means you're kind of hyper-focused. Give a little eyebrows here. And it's usually like your lips are a little, like you kind of stretch out your face a little bit. So we'd start kind of down there. We'll kind of, like, when a dog's scared, they kind of cower their ears down a little bit. So we'll kind of treat the hair buns like that. And we'll make the hair super small up here. Probably make the pupils a little bigger. And I'll probably, since everyone's sort of facing left or right. Now remember, when the sprites are happening, since every character is symmetrical, we'll just flip this so we're not doing 8 directions. It's a platform to step up on an online virtual studio for passion projects or projects in general. I've never heard of that. I'll check that out. That sounds interesting. So what I would do for something like this, it's all about acting. And, when you're scared, I'll probably just do this or something. I'm not in love with that, to be honest. But I'll probably take an extreme and do the stagger, which we've done a few times on this. I could go into that next week a little bit. But it's basically you animate something straight and then stagger the frames. And then I would just do it separated, sort of like how I did the happy and sad mouth, where you just show the people who are just joining us how I separated that. So you can see here I have a few layers. There's the shine in the eyes, the head, and then the mouth. So the head goes like that, and then I kind of animated the mouth to that, and I did the exact same thing over here, just with a small tweak of the mouth. Made her look happy, and it emotes pretty well. I could probably go into a little more detail. Then the angry, I wanted to go crazy on it. And scared, I'm going to do the same thing as the angry face. Hold on. Now, Joe Winsey has done a lot more. As a studio, you can go virtual, outsource, and organize teams for different roles in your pipeline. Yeah, we sort of have that going with Discord, and we've done other stuff like that. But it sounds like something I'll definitely check out, Joe Winsey, for sure. All right. Well, that's 2 hours. It was a great talk. A lot of viewers, too. And thanks, everyone new for showing up. Thanks, people who send the fan art, all that great stuff. Daniel, if those who are curious at the fan art, check out Daniel Aruda Massa at, and you want to show your Twitter handle, Daniel? Thanks for the stream. Yeah, thanks for everyone for joining us, of course. Yes, why don't you share your Twitter handle so you can get more people to check out your stuff too. I was saying I'm a little buzzed, so thanks for joining us and continuing this every week. We really get a thrill out of all this stuff, and we're excited to show you more stuff. Those of you in New York, June 6th, we'll be in the city. Check out our website to see where you can check out Blood. June 21st, we'll be in Philly, I believe. Though Cody will correct me on that. And that's a whole weekend of Blood stuff. And of course, we'll be updating everything as well. Oh, I'm glad everyone had a fun watch. And thanks for watching me bumble around and doing all this stuff. And we'll be back next week, Friday, same time, 2 o'clock Eastern time. And until then, just keep talking to us. Send us emails, do the work, and we'll happily answer anything we can. All right, everyone. Thank you very much, and take care.